Pressure, that's what Dan Matjila says, was one of his biggest problems when he was PIC boss. He initially declined to name politicians, but the evidence leader then revealed it was former ANC Treasurer General Zweli Mkhize who asked the PIC to fund an ANC bash. Matjila has come out guns blazing, defending himself at the PIC inquiry. Heidi Jakas is, of course, monitoring that story for us. She joins us now live. Heidi, before we get to the PIC, let's talk about the Finance Minister appointing an interim board of directors at the Public Investment Corporation.
Exactly, Shahan, and I think many didn't expect this to happen so soon. Everyone was expecting the Finance Minister to wait until the final report was submitted to the presidency to decide. Remember that the board resigned in February this year after they had been heavily implicated through these whistleblower emails that were sent to the PIC. One must remember it was Deputy Finance Minister, or former Deputy Finance Minister, Mondli Gungubele, who was also the chairperson. But we have 12 new interim board directors, Maria Ramos being one of them, Ivan Fredericks, who is the PSA General Manager. We also have Nahau on that board. We have Cindy Mabasu, who is a chartered accountant. So I think the President and all those involved try to get a fair representation on the PIC board, given the fact that there's been such an outcry to have worker union representation on that board. And here you have the PSA as well as Nahau. So we also have the reappointment of two PIC boards, Dr. Makwanazi, who Dan Matjila has heavily implicated throughout this commission of inquiry through his testimony in the last 2 days. He was the deputy chairperson of the PIC board, so it will be interesting to see what role he's going to now play, but he has been reappointed. So 12 new board members and 2 old ones have been reappointed.
Yeah, so let's talk about the PIC inquiry today. Dan Matjila dropping more bombshells, this time heavily implicating the ANC.
Exactly. So initially when he started his testimony today, he explained to the Commission how he was approached by the ANC, a top politician, to fund an ANC January event. So basically funding an ANC bash. But initially he didn't want to disclose who this politician was, and later on he disclosed that it's former Zweli Mkhize of the ANC, basically just saying that he had immense pressure to get those who benefited from the PIC funding and investments to fund an ANC bash. And he was saying that he's never been affiliated to any political party, yet he was interested, or rather listened to the ANC's requests to invest or rather fund this party, this specific party. Let's just listen to what he had to say about that.
The second point is that of the names that Dr. Matjila was reluctant to disclose. During the lunch adjournment, we discussed it and we agreed that the names will be disclosed. The political person who phoned regarding the contribution to a January was Mr. Minister Zweli Mkhize, and the person involved in the discussions in Durban, and I place it on record that is hearsay, was Mr. Sifiso Buthelezi. That's by agreement we disclosed those names to the committee.
That's the secret meeting.
Yes, the secret meeting.
He also spoke about certain deals and investments he was allegedly forced to fund, one being the embattled SAA.
Yes, Shahan, so he's made it very clear that he's had serious political pressure from all political parties, not just the ruling party, the ANC. But what was interesting was that he explained certain transactions which involved political pressure, one being SAA. He said he was approached by then chairperson of SAA, Dudu Myeni, around August of 2017 to assist with 6 billion rand when it comes to the restructuring or the servicing of SAA's loans, given the fact that they've been really struggling to stay in the air, if I can put it that way. So he was basically saying that Myeni is an extremely prominent political figure, and it's been, he's just had constant pressure. But he made it very clear from the onset that he cannot invest in SAA or give them any kind of loan, because SAA was just too embattled. There were too many problems, and SAA was basically classified as a low investment grade rating. So it was just too risky for the PIC. Let's just listen to what he had to say about that.
The South African
Airways, SAA, request for 6 billion was brought to the PIC by the then chairperson of SAA, Ms. Dudu Myeni, around August 2017. It is unusual for the chairperson of an SOE or any company for that matter to request funding. Normally, this is a function of the CEO or CFO. Ms. Myeni is an extremely prominent political figure whose close ties to the then President Zuma were publicly known. There was an overt expectation of funding, and I was aware that the PIC had been targeted in SAA's rescue plan as a potential funder. I informed Ms. Myeni that the PIC would first have to go through with the mandatory necessary investment investigations and processes with which she seemed largely unhappy, clearly unhappy. Ultimately, the PIC could not fund due to the low investment grade rating of SAA.
All right, we'll leave it right there. Heidi Jacques monitoring the PIC inquiry.